You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Hour number 3 of our coverage on Cyclone Berguitta, which is located now, according to that latest position update, at 18.6 south, 58.9 east. Is that current? 18.7 south, 58.9 east, which makes the storm now 200 kilometers from Mauritius. 200 exactly. So with that in mind, let's introduce the team again for this hour. I'm joined by Craig and Rakesh for this hour, at least. Hopefully. With luck.
Well, I'm alive.
Depending on connections. That'll be the only thing stopping us. Okay, well, there they are. You can see them, and you can see me somewhere as well. I don't think you really wanted to be honest. So let's instead take a look at the storm, which might be much better. There it is, Cyclone Berguitta.
You struggled a bit with that.
Not Bugatti. I'd just forgotten the name briefly. It does happen to me sometimes. I just, you know, you've been saying it for so long, you just end up forgetting the name when you're about to read it off.
Yeah, that's true.
Joined by Rakesh, one of our members of one of our partners at Meteo at Cyclone Maurice. You can find him on Facebook. Right, links on the left-hand side of your screen. I don't know if you've got any more news out of Mauritius, because they did have some significant rainfall indicated by satellite in the last last half hour.
That's true all over the island, actually.
Yeah. Any indications as to how much? Any flash flooding or anything like that?
For the time being, no. No such news reported for the time being.
And thunderstorms? Any significant lightning outbreaks?
Yes, there have been some isolated thunderstorms. Not so much violent for the time being.
Would you rate them as typical thunderstorms as compared to what you're used to over there?
Yeah, we've known worst. We've known worst thunderstorm than that, but right now it's not that serious.
Alright, here's a message. I have experienced Gervais, Claudette, Faringa, Hollanda, but till now Berguitta is nothing. The worst was Hollanda. Well, that's about right, because Berguitta still hasn't arrived. I mean, I assume that the strong winds are still... Well, according to the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre, the wind field retracted massively when it lost that eye. But the wind field is still just off Mauritius. And of course, the strongest winds are only within about a 30-kilometre radius of the centre of the storm, which is very far away from Mauritius still. 170 kilometres to go till it gets to the 30 range. So So there's still a long way to go yet, and a lot more sitting about, waiting to see whether, when and where this storm will strike, or whether it does at all. Could you imagine if this thing just kept going west-southwest and sort of took a Dina track and went beyond the islands and just went in between the gap like Carlos did?
Oh god.
I mean, they do factor it in their forecast cones, at least.
Well, that's true. At least there is some factor and some thought process put into that.
Question: is the cyclone getting bigger?
Cloud tops, yes. Size and the way they're blowing outward, yes. Northern side, definitely so. Southern side, still as bare as you could get.
There's a new image from Isaac, Craig, and what do you think?
Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
You better have a look.
Yeah. Northern section.
Craig,
it has
here's a question: dry or eye? What is it?
That is dry.
Dry,
because
yeah.
I am not calling that an eye. But my reasoning behind that, because I'm pretty sure there'd be probably folk wanting to know, is because you're looking to see the southeastern quadrant of this is because it's so weak. Dry air in the upper levels and mid levels would be getting in because the clouds there is so weak. So pretty much what you're looking at there is a potential dry spot. I would also need another microwave image. This is the danger, and this is the problem with not really having a consistent flow of microwave image, or as Nathan just said, radar, to keep to see if this thing does actually have a eye wall. But for now, if it were to have an eye wall, the northern and eastern northern, western, and eastern sections of this quote-unquote supposed questionable eye wall would be there. The southern wouldn't, because of how weak it is. But I don't see it really forming an eye wall unless some benign miracle or benign outrageous event happens, and I will physically eat my own shoes if this thing decides to try and form another eye. I will physically eat my own shoe.
No, that can't be very tasty. Here's the latest radar from Meteo France, showing again that band that moved through Mauritius in the last hour. You can see it in a bit more clarity here. I'm not sure what the colour scheme is, but the yellows are over Mauritius and over Réunion as well, northern parts of Réunion there. That's 15-minute radar imagery. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yellow usually correlates to sort of mid-range.
Mid-range rainfall.
But I can't put a number on it. Usually they have a legend somewhere, but they don't. So we'll just leave that there. And what other imagery should we present? Any ideas?
Well, we could have another look at water vapor.
Well, we are doing that right now, yes. In fact, the storm is too big to fit the screen, so let's zoom out so we can get a bit of a better view. Here's another view at how the storm has evolved in 12 hours, Craig. It's doubled in size. You're laughing. I'm not kidding. It's doubled in size.
No, I'm just laughing at a comment I've just seen in the chat.
Matthew Smith, noted.
Oh, God. But yes, going back to your point there, Nathan, yeah, this storm has definitely expanded. Wind shear is continuing to drag the storm, storm's convection, I should say. But that directional movement, that is pretty darn hard to tell, and especially in the last few images. But looking at that, you can see how the southern part of the eye, I was going to say eye there, but god damn it, there isn't one. Jesus. But you see here on the southern quadrant of the said storm is starting to weaken out. Whether that is dry air, which I'm hinting that it could be, is getting into it, or it could actually be wind shear that's causing it to bother, which there's a 50-50 chance that it could be both. But as I said, that's the issue. We don't really have a long range or long covering radar to see if this thing does have an eye wall, and we don't really have consistent microwave imagery.
Let's look back at that wind shear graphic again whilst you talk.
Yes. The wind shear graphic would be good. Because the main storm tracking advice, if you're really going to track a fish storm that's really out to sea, or a storm that's really out to sea and is getting ready to, and is going to hit land at some point, the best way to see if an eye wall is present or is going to be present would be checking microwave imagery. But no, as the trouble I'm having with it now, it's not really consistent because the time frames are within near enough a 2-hour gap. The last one on this was a 4-hour gap between 9 UTC this morning and 5 UTC, which in some terms is absolutely ridiculous, but they're not off of the satellites that we're using. They're off of polar orbiting satellites. So they're not really distant. So that's the sad thing. We don't really
Craig,
have that.
I've got to interrupt you because Mauritius have come out with their update at 10:10 local time. According to them, this is what their forecast, or what their bulletin says. At 10 p.m. local time, 2200 hours, the severe tropical storm Berguitta was centered at about 190 kilometers to the northeast of Mauritius, so we're pretty much in agreement with position now. That is in latitude 18.9 south, 59.1 east. It's moving in a general west-southwesterly direction at a speed of about 8 kilometers per hour. There are indications that Berguitta will assume a southwesterly track during the night. On this new trajectory, they say, the severe tropical storm Berguitta will dangerously approach Mauritius and will pass very close to the island tomorrow morning, though they don't specify when. I think that's probably wise. In view of its intensity, position relative to Mauritius and its movement, severe tropical storm Berguitta constitutes a serious threat to Mauritius. Class 3, of course, still in effect, and they say the weather in Mauritius will remain overcast with intermittent rain, which will be moderate to heavy at times with thunderstorms. Wind will blow from the south-southeast at about 50 kilometers per hour, strengthening gradually. Gusts may reach 120 kilometers per hour in the course of the night. Sea will be high with heavy swells. The public is strictly advised not to go out at sea, if you didn't know that already. So, more of the same really, and pretty much in agreement by this point.
Yeah.
With what we're saying.
Alright guys,
go ahead.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got the Met service of Mauritius over the radio, and they confirmed that Berguitta gonna be closer to Mauritius between 7 to 10 a.m.
What's closing,
now.
Sorry?
The Met service just intervened with the radio of Mauritius, and they are confirming that Berguitta gonna be closer to Mauritius or over the island between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the latest update from them.
Thank you for that, and we'll have an update from La Réunion shortly as well. They are supposed to be updating now-ish, but they always delay a little bit. But we'll go and have a look and see if they've got an update out yet. Not on that page, but on this page. Nope, that was the home page. Berguitta. 1600, that was the last graphic. And as you can see, the 2200 map is not yet out. That's what they did say at 1600 local time there. And we will wait to see what they do say when they put out their new graphic, which will be very soon indeed. Craig?
Yes.
Over to you, if you want it.
Wow. I was just going to say there, I've seen a question in the chat. I'm just trying to find it
yes,
again.
there might be a few of that. Start your message with Force 13 all in text if you've got questions for us. The fact that there is no eye is a good sign, right? That's a question.
That was the question I was just trying to find. Yes, no eye is a good sign. because that means the storm isn't really present, strengthening in terms of major strengthening in terms of appearance and wind speeds. If there was an eye, then yes, this storm would definitely be getting stronger again. But the fact that there isn't one, that is a good sign. That it doesn't really show significant signs that the storm is strengthening, but it doesn't really show that the storm is weakening either. But for now, looking at the recent imagery, I wouldn't A, put it down, I wouldn't, and B, I would just keep it the same.
Absolutely.
5 miles per hour.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Putting it down to 70 miles per hour, you could sort of see why, because of the, the...
No, I don't see why, I'm sorry.
I do, because the microwave imagery, that would be one of the reasons. Because...
But it's been a significant cyclone, so it's surely sustaining those winds.
And that's where a certain R word N that ends in N would come in.
Hold on, which one are we talking about now?
I'm talking about Recon here.
Oh, that.
Yes, that. But going back to the points of whether it is or not, the recent RAM imagery, it is showing that the blue... Actually, I'm going to get a screen share so I can show everyone what I'm gibbering on about.
Oh, I was going to do that myself just then to get some context. I can do it for you if you like. Oh no, you've already done it. Okay then, Craig with the RAM imagery.
Yes, instead of me gibbering on, flapping my lips at like utter nonsense. So here's what I'm literally blabbering on about. As you can see here, this is where the dry slot is. This is where the dry air is going to be getting in. You can see how the rest of the storm has gotten actually significantly stronger, along with the northern section of the storm, and western, eastern's not looking too bad, but it still needs a lot of work, along with the southern section. But this area here, the blue, which you're seeing in the southeastern part of it, is the area that has actually looked like it's been weakening for quite a while. And also dry air looks to be starting to try and get in and starting to cause some problems with the center. I'm going to get a loop up here and have a look, see if how rapid that part of the storm has been weakening.
I've got the loop up as well. I'm showing that too.
That's not good either.
Well, you can see it there. Talk us through it, Craig.
So here you can see the recent imagery. You can see how that was showing cloud tops of around -50, -60 cloud tops. And it just warmed, and now you're seeing a lot warmer towards the center.
Now, looking at this, Craig, do you think the flare-up might be ending or winding down? Because the cloud tops aren't as high, are they?
Yeah, they're actually looking at this, are starting to warm, which does beg the question. This could be the end of that flare-up. So it could have been just as Nathan said, a brief little flare-up. Looking at that, you can see as I'm altering back. I don't know.
Sound like wind at Rakesh's house.
Oh dear. Looking back between the two images here, you can see how the cloud tops have significantly warmed. But I'm starting to think I can't tell whether whether that's actually a part of the circulation. If that is, this piece of dry air that it is getting in is going to probably try and wrap into the storm center, which is probably what's causing the eastern section here. You see the eastern there was trying to fire up -80, but now it's starting to warm. So that's where I would then be screaming for microwave imagery, but sadly there is none. Yeah. But I'm still thinking that is dry air that is getting into the southeastern side of the system.
Craig, updated map from La Réunion at this point. Here it is. This is pretty much unchanged from what it was before, to be honest. There's the latest as a 10 p.m. Their forecast cone. I'm going to zoom out on that a little bit. Or maybe we can try it in the other window. Well, there's the other side. That's probably a little bit better. You can see it there, and the forecast. They think landfall in Mauritius in about maybe 10 hours. Which isn't good. Because that's supposed to be when I'm not here. So about 10 hours according to Reunion, and they think it will pass just south of the island. But the thing is, you know, down to only a tropical storm according to them. what was it? Strong tropical storm or tempetropical forte or whatever they say.
It's a strong tropical storm.
According to Meteo France, but on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale, category 1, 75 miles an hour, that's sustained winds of 120 kilometers per hour or so. Pressure's around 981, and we'll see what they say in their bulletin when they put it out. I'm assuming they'll be a little bit late with that because they usually are. But there we go. This was Force 13's map from earlier. And that won't have changed too much either. That's from 3 hours ago. I've not been able to update it because I'm here. But that was what it was saying at 3 p.m. and you can see how the storm was supposed to be going southwest, but it still isn't, folks. It's still not made that turn yet, not properly. But it is drawing closer to Mauritius. It is now within 200 kilometers of landfall. Mauritius Met Service says 190. And if we look at Meteo France's position update, I might be able to tell you what they think the position is as well. But that will take me just a moment to get to. And their update isn't out yet in text, so we don't have an actual position. But as soon as that comes out, we'll let you know. If you've got any questions for us, do send them in all in text. Start your message with Force 13 in the comments section on the YouTube page if you're watching us there. All in text, type in Force 13 and we'll get your answers. And we were talking about, Rakesh, I don't know if it actually happened because I've been so busy with this stream, whether you were simulcasting this on the Facebook page.
Yes, exactly. So the updates in French are coming up on the page. And, well, we're going to answer also as much as we can to questions that we're having. And yeah, that's pretty much it going on the page. And also, we've just learned that there has severe lightning over Bagua, quite east on the high grounds of Mauritius.
Severe lightning, did you say?
Yes, and there has been power cuts too.
Wow. Do you think that was caused by the lightning or by...
By the lightning, exactly, by the lightning, yeah.
Wow, okay. Well, that'll be the source of some of the power cuts then this evening. I don't know, given this new information, how long we're going to stay on the air, because this storm is so unpredictable. We could be here for 24 hours getting old whilst we watch this storm try and make its landfall, but I don't know how it's going to pan out. We're going to stay for a little while longer. I'm not sure how long till, probably till at least midnight Mauritius time, and probably to 1 AM like we did in the last 3 days. More questions. Might there be a Class 4 warning? Now, Rakesh, I've seen the Mauritius definition for the Class 4 warning, so
yes.
I'll delegate this question to you. Do you think it's like...
So the class 4 warning is put when 120 kilometers per hour winds have already been recorded, and we're expecting more of those winds. So I'm guessing if the forecast are confirming in the next hours, I mean between 7 and 10 tomorrow morning, we could actually get into class 4, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we have to wait until we have 120 kilometers or higher winds before the class is in effect.
Yeah, and so far only about 106, I think it was.
Yes, that's the maximum we've got so far.
And they update their observations around now as well, Mauritius, so we're just going to check to see if they've got any new information as to new wind speed peaks or anything of interest. They've not updated that page yet, so we'll wait on that one. Let's go back to the the satellite estimated rainfall chart, which is the most up-to-date product that we have here and the most often updating as well. The latest image on this is only have we got the latest 6:15? Not sure. Yes, 6:16. So 8 minutes old is the last frame of this animation, and you can see still a large area of high rainfall activity near the storm centre, but also that secondary area sort of over Mauritius and to the south of Mauritius as well, with rainfall amounts looking to be around 15 millimeters per hour overall at least. And to the south maybe a little bit higher than that too, I'm not sure, but still very wet conditions coming through, and seems to be expanding as well, that rainfall. And behind that you can see a new area forming, new area of rain forming there as well, so that will also impact Mauritius later on tonight. This loop, just for perspective, goes on for the 3-hour period. So at the beginning of the loop is 3 hours ago, so if you extrapolate that out, in another 3 hours that next band will probably arrive, maybe 4. But the centre of the storm and the worst part of it still remains elusively offshore, and still doesn't look like it's getting any closer at all. Craig, any thoughts? Okay.
Not many.
Will this storm ever reach Mauritius?
Oh no, it's just...
This is the part where we get exasperated and
Yeah, this is the point where you can't really make bold predictions anymore, is it? Because you've actually got a higher chance of being wrong than right, because of its still slow movement and that is very unpredictable.
the forecasters have a tough job. Dev says now it's really getting bad in the east, heavy rain and extremely windy, and you can probably see why on this map.
Exactly, so we've also...
Go ahead.
Yeah, we've also got the news that more people are going to refugee centers. Well, right now we have 2,185 people in refugee centers in Mauritius, and well, there are some refugee centers that are overcrowded, and authorities are dealing with that right now. Yeah.
Any idea as to what the capacity is? I mean, what sort of buildings do they use for these refugee centers?
I'm sorry, I lost you for a second.
I'm just wondering about the capacity of these refugee centers. How large are these buildings, and what type of buildings are they?
Well, I'll say that I'll speak in terms of people, so they can accommodate 15 to 20 people. Okay, but right now most of them are loaded with over 50 to 70 people.
Right, and are they specially constructed? Are they stronger than the other buildings, or?
No, they are just they're just like houses. So
right.
Nothing specifically constructed for safety.
I see. So it's sort of,
yeah.
To my eyes, listening to that, sort of removes the initiative to evacuate. If they're just as strong as your own house, I don't know.
Well, they're just for people who are residing in places prone to floods.
Yeah.
And there are
I guess it's flooding, really, isn't it?
Yes. And there are some parts in Mauritius where people still have very fragile houses, not necessarily in good great.
Now, we don't know over here from our base in the UK too much about the Mauritius building standards and how are building codes there these days. Have they taken much notice to the cyclone threat? Given that we've had quite a bit of a gap in a proper cyclone threat recently. maybe we're losing his signal. We've got temperamental signals, of course, in Mauritius, as you would expect. But well,
yeah, I just heard the last word you said.
I was just asking about the building codes in Mauritius, whether they take this seriously or not.
I seriously don't know.
Yeah.
I seriously don't know, but it's true that people have been, constructing houses and other building, regardless of the environment and the,
Right.
strategic planning and so on.
So a lack of planning.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this is one of the main causes of flooding in Mauritius, actually.
Yeah, that's not great. I mean, when was the last... Dina was the last severe cyclone, or was there more in between?
No, Dina was the last we had.
Really? So that's over
yeah.
15 years, 16 years of nothing major, and this still has the potential to be the next one.
After Dina, we've only had cyclones that passed by. The closest we had, I think it was in 2007. I don't remember the name of the cyclone, but
Yeah,
I know it was,
I remember there were one or two back then. I can't remember any names.
yeah, exactly. It was about 200 kilometers from Mauritius, but we didn't experience cyclonic conditions either.
And that's the point that we're at right now. 200 kilometers from Mauritius is this storm. According to Mauritius, slightly less, 190 kilometers, and it's ticking down those kilometers up to a potential landfall, but we don't know for sure whether it will be a landfall, because as I often said on previous updates, a storm actually making a landfall with its eye on Mauritius is like hitting a bullseye on a dartboard. It's quite difficult, and it's, in fact, a Category 3 storm has never made a direct landfall on Mauritius before. Only Category 1 and might have been one Category 2, but never Category 3 or higher. So there we are. Hollanda was probably the closest. Could you tell us a bit more about Hollanda, because people are comparing it so much? What effects it had in Mauritius?
Well, I didn't follow that actually, so I won't be able to answer you.
Ah. It was quite a long time ago.
Unfortunately. Yeah. And well, I didn't get really precise information about that.
Yeah, I hear it caused quite a bit of damage. 2 fatalities or something when Craig was looking it up last night, or whoever it was who was looking it up.
He and Isaac looked it up and we discovered 2 fatalities.
And that one was a Category 2 that intensified into Category 3 whilst passing through those islands in February 1994. We did make a short video of that last night, of its track, in case anyone is interested. On our channel, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can find us on Force 13. That's the all-in-text name of the channel. You can also find us elsewhere on Facebook and Twitter. Search Force 13 all in text, and people follow us from all around the world as we do cyclone updates. It is a worldwide cyclone tracking service, and our personnel are from all around the world. Myself and Craig from the UK, Craig north of the smaller border into Scotland, and
what's that supposed to mean?
well, it's not necessarily a large border like between Northern Ireland and Ireland. Well, it is a very small border, because Hadrian's Wall doesn't have much left of it now.
Because of the shoddy construction, not like we'd be able to take it down.
Hopefully the Mauritius construction standards are better than Hadrian's Wall. But in any case, all sorts of people come and watch, and we always appreciate the support that we get here. But our main aim is to not really dwell on that. We are tracking the storm, and that's what we will do as we continue this evening. Again, I'm not sure how long we're going to stay on the air for, because the idea to begin with was that the storm would probably be making landfall tonight, but at the moment it sort of isn't. So what we might do is take a break later on this evening and then come back first thing tomorrow morning in the early hours and do some more live coverage up to what we expect is landfall. I don't know.
Quote unquote landfall.
But we will have regular updates throughout, of course. But this is the current situation, and more rain on the way from Mauritius by the looks of this rainfall imagery indicated by satellite. Well, the latest from Mauritius, a class 3 warning still in effect, and let's see if their 10 p.m. observations are out now for the 24 hours leading up to 10 p.m. They should have the latest observations out by now, as I'm just checking, but the website must be very busy. It's taking some time. In the meantime, I'll talk about what the conditions have been on La Réunion. In the last 24 hours, rainfall amounts have been up to 171 millimeters in the southeast, and in the northwest, rainfall amounts have been rather low actually. Only numbers from around 1 to 7 inches along the northwestern coast, so quite a discrepancy there. Most of the rainfall coming from the southeast, so no surprise that the southeastern part of the island has had the most rain. Still no updated observations from Mauritius. They were reporting earlier, as of 7 p.m, that the rainfall amounts had been up to around 80 something millimeters in 24 hours, or 90. That is probably going to be much higher by now, because it looks as though significant rainfall is occurring. Alright, if there's any more questions for us, we are still live, of course, and we are taking your questions. The little cousin, also on our team in our company, says bad weather at the Coast Phoenix. Analia says, I guess there was a cyclone in 1999, can't tell which. Now, I did research this one. That was Cyclone Davina, which has done a bit of a Berguitta, but it did it after passing the islands. It went straight through the islands, moving west-southwest, and then stalled, and then lost all of its intensity. That was Cyclone Davina in 1999. A slightly unrelated question that Craig might be able to answer. Has Puerto Rico recovered fully from Hurricane Maria yet?
Oh.
No. So there we are. Yeah, not great. Not great over in Puerto Rico. Is it intensifying, Craig? Latest?
Yes.
Let's get the latest RAM loop up on the screen again, and to see if it's got any new imagery that we can make any new assumptions on. Well, it does appear that those cloud tops are waning. But Craig, that's definitely an eye trying to form.
My head off of my desk in a minute.
You seeing this?
Yeah.
It's not a very good eye at all, but
I'm still calling that a dry spot. I'm not calling that an eye. Stand my ground and say that that is not an eye.
But that's where the centre of the storm is, Craig.
Should be.
It looks like the eye is reforming.
Image. Come on, microwave imagery, come on! Damn it!
Question from Gedridus. Do you think it will recover? I'm not sure what you're referring to, whether you're talking about Puerto Rico or Mauritius now. Not that Mauritius had any major problems just yet, but everyone recovers eventually. Just takes varying amounts of time. Here's an observation. We do like your observations, by the way. If you're in Mauritius watching or in La Réunion, do send in your messages about your observations and let us know where on the island you are. Very bad weather. Now I'm going to mess this up terribly. In Pamplemouses. If it was in English, it would be pronounced that way. Gusts of wind. My coconut trees are falling. Fruits are all over the place. Debris leaves against windows. Rain. Cannot step out. Shabir asks us about why the name Force 13. That was my ingenious invention when the project launched just over 6 years ago now in late 2011. Basically, because of the Beaufort scale here in the UK only goes up to 12, so we thought we'd do one better. Only later did I find out that Hong Kong goes up to 417. Anyway, moving on. We have some more questions. Some people saying landfall occurring, question mark. No. Quite some distance away. Oh, talking about the cyclone recovering. Ah. Is the cyclone recovering, Craig? Craig will deny it.
Oh, looking at it, cloud tops are warming, and I'm going to say no.
Okay.
The next thing is that thing that is supposedly getting called a thing eye. No, that's a dry slot.
Well, time will tell.
That blue area is getting smaller.
Let's just go to those last frames slowly.
On the outside. Last frame there. See the blue where that dry slot is. That is getting bigger.
But the eye is supposed to be there, if it had one.
Is probably where the eye would be. Or maybe just at least a little bit, looking at that last little frame there. Anyway, but either way, that definitely is looking like a dry slot. Is getting into this again.
Well, there it goes.
Rapidly, those cloud tops are warming rather rapidly by the looks of that.
Yeah, quite. The rain rates are still pretty high though inside that particular section of the storm, up to 50 millimeters per hour in that section. In Mauritius, in some locations now, I see 3 frames of 25 millimeter per hour rainfall, so it's quite safe to say in 1 or 2 isolated locations there will be 25 millimeters of rain per hour falling. That's 1 inch, roughly. And the storm is still not arriving yet. What else is there to say? My goodness. Again, I have no idea how long we're going to stay with you for, but we'll stay with you for at least the next hour, which will take us up to midnight Mauritius time. And then we might be taking a break and doing some recorded updates throughout the early hours. And then we might come back, or we probably will come back at about maybe 6 AM to do some more live coverage as this storm continues to approach the area. Obviously there will be many places to go after we go off the air, and the chat. Now, some people get confused because when we go off the air there's nothing to look at, but the chat stays open. So if you really wanted to, you could just stay there and chat to people for a few hours. Not entirely interesting, but that is actually possible. The chat never closes on this link. And this link is the place to find all of our live streams. When we are live doing storm coverage and we stop for a few hours and come back again, it's still on the same link. So you might want to bookmark this link here if you're watching us on YouTube. And we'll be back with more live coverage. But we're still here for at least another hour, 15 minutes anyway. Just to get that off my chest. If you've got any more questions for us, do send them in. Start your message with Force 13 and observations. The weather is getting freaky here, is one comment there. No heavy rainfall on the central plateau. And what's more dangerous, a direct hit or a landfall? Me and Craig were sort of discussing that yesterday or the other day, whenever it was. Which one is actually worse? Getting a direct hit where you get the eye wall but not the eye, in which case the winds are constant, or you get the eye where the winds stop but then they start again and they go in the opposite direction when they start again. Is that more dangerous than winds that gradually turn in direction but remain constant? It's an interesting question.
It is interesting because if you think about it, first eye walls of cyclones, first eye walls are normally depicted as, well, the more common way of describing an eye walls of tropical cyclones is first eye walls are normally the ones that punch everything and soften everything up. But then the second eye wall comes along, and that's the one that's supposedly to do the most damage and just blows everything away.
Tell that to Bogota.
Exactly.
Doesn't have even one eye wall yet.
Any.
Do you think Texas has recovered from Harvey? I'll let you know. I'll let Isaac tell you the answer if he comes back on later. I think his part of Texas has recovered.
Yeah. I think his area has still a lot of areas that have been hit by Irma and Maria that really have not recovered fully yet. Maria's effects on Puerto Rico is still being strongly felt.
Yeah,
even now. But all the islands have got power back.
Avish says, from the southwest of Mauritius, been very calm during the day. However, the last hour or so, things have quickly changed. Rather strong winds and moderate rain. Fiona says heavy rainfall and wind as well from the northern part of Mauritius too. So, and another one, Black River. Oh, can't talk. River. Black River on the west coast. That's why I got confused. Not too crazy. A bit windy and some rain, but nothing too bad. Trees still standing. Power is on. So, quite a mix of observations so far. But a lot of people are feeling the effects of the storm by this point. Yeah, quite conflicting actually. Some people saying it's calm, some people saying it's getting pretty extreme.
Things are going to get very interesting from now on, especially as the storm.
I guess we should check the radar again. Actually, that might give us an indication of what exactly is going on. Here's the latest radar from Reunion showing what's going on in Mauritius and in Reunion, because they're getting rain as well. But you can see over in Mauritius, yes, two particular areas in the north and east there that have high amounts of rainfall on the radar. Interesting. Not much else to say about that one. If you missed it earlier, the track looks like this now. There's the latest track from La Reunion as of 10 p.m. local time. They're predicting the storm to graze the southern coast of Mauritius, and I still haven't got their position yet, but they have put it much to the southwest, and that's sort of not what we're going with just yet. I just wonder if they've got the new information out at this point as well on that text below. Yes, they're saying that the storm's pressure has gone up 2 millibars to 972. And they're saying the position S was 19.0 south, 59.3 east. When we did our update at the top of the hour, we said 18.6 south. So that is a discrepancy of 0.4. And what else there? It's moving, and they say it's moving southwest at 11 kilometers per hour. So they're saying a little bit faster than what we're implying as well, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But that's what they were saying. Just see if they've got their proper bulletin out down there somewhere. Nope, nothing yet. So we'll check back with them in due course. Let's go back to the RAM imagery again and see what it looks like. There it is, and you can see again one or two more frames that have just come in there, Craig, and your thoughts. It's a dry slot.
seeing the, just trying to tell someone about the snowfall that my area is expected.
Oh.
Looking at recent frames, yeah, has definitely gotten bigger. That is intruding into the storm is definitely a dry slot.
Okay, well, there we are.
And the cloud tops are definitely warming, and they're continuing to warm.
Yeah, let's go back to the rain rates again and see what we can see. Somewhere. Things are really getting slowed down. Oh, there we are. Where could we put the eye? Where is it? In there somewhere.
An eye. Dry slot.
What's that?
Dry slot.
Yeah, I thought we deduced
An
that.
eye, that's, if it had an eye, that's probably where it would be. Basically updating the microwave imagery sites because that's how eager I am to actually.
Yeah, we are really waiting for a microwave image pass. Now, tell the viewers what microwave imagery does and how it helps us.
What microwave imagery is basically it says what it is on the tin or on. What it does is it's a satellite that scans the rain bands inside of a tropical cyclone, and it is an image to see how the rain bands are and how well organized the system is. If the storm is trying to show any form of signs of the formation of an eye wall, intensification such as a curved band, or even an eye wall replacement. Microwave imagery is really great for that, especially especially for eye wall replacements, because what you're looking for, as we all know with eye wall replacements, you're looking for you're looking for two eye walls, the one that grows around the old eye that takes over from that one, from the old one, and the brand new eye. Formations of an eye, you're looking what happened with as I was showing with Berguitta. You're seeing what the bands starting to wrap around the center of circulation, and what you're looking for in there is the nice little clear slot, a little blue circle.
Mm-hmm.
Microwave imagery.
Are you looking at some right now?
No, I'll bring up an example of it just to show everyone what's what. So here's an wall replacement before it failed. So
Sounds like we're struggling a bit with the signal, but we'll try and persevere.
yeah, we're gonna try and persevere with that, but that's not our faults. So here's Berguitta when it was a Category 3. You can see here eye wall effect. You see the double eye wall, half of a double eye wall, I should say. But you can see what would have happened had this have formed its newer eye. The newer eye would have engulfed the older one and would have immediately took over. But what happened was, this also explains why it rapidly weakened, is because you see here the eastern side was weak. So dry air got into the cyclone and pretty much destroyed the eye wall. So when you're looking at this, and here's the banding processes of a developing eye wall, you're looking for something along the lines of this. A nice, weak building eye wall, such as this is what it was doing. This was only a tropical storm when it was starting to think about it. And you're seeing that nice little blue circle in the center clearing out very nicely. That's the starts of an eye wall. Until you come further up and then you see the eye wall replacement. And then this is the eye wall collapsing. You can see how badly it has eroded. You can see where the older eye wall, or the new one should have been, and there's the old one trying to come back. That is a result of the dry air intrusion. It forced the storm to pretty much quit the eye wall replacement while it was in effect while it was in the process of doing it. So in that result, the storm is at its most vulnerable point, and the dry air hit it at the right time and pretty much just, straight up killed it. So that's what microwave imagery is good for. It's good for stuff like this. It's good for showing the development of an eye, especially in Berguitta. This is the latest one I was showing.
Right. When's that?
This one was just after 12Z. Well, just before it. So this one's 11:44 UTC.
7 hours ago.
So here you can see how strong the rain bands are inside of the western part of the cyclone. So, and there's, as you can see, no eye, not even a fleeting glimpse of an eye wall. If there was an eye wall, this is probably where it would be. So this is what you would probably call half of an eye wall, but looks to be an eroding eye wall. So this cyclone is pretty much, according to this, was in deep trouble in terms of holding its strength. The new one, the new microwave image when it comes out, which will be after 18Z has come out.
Well, that's very soon.
Yeah, but the microwave imagery normally comes out a little bit later, unfortunately.
Well, Craig, we're going to stop it there because we're going to go to a break. But this is the latest on Cyclone Berguitta. We'll have more updates as the time goes on, of course. We're here for at least another hour. I'm not sure when we're going to call it quits yet because this storm is taking its merry old time. We're going to be here all night. And we're going to be watching it all morning as well, probably. So we'll be resting up later on. But for the time being, we're staying here. We're not moving. Send us a message on Force 13 on our YouTube page. If you're in the chat right now, you can send us a message. And there's a few, apparently fallen trees are starting to become an issue, and lightning might have taken out the power in some localities in Mauritius. Stay tuned for more. Coverage continues in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.com, which is still under construction right now, but check it out anyway. You can also find us on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't already, search Force 13 all in text. Same on Facebook, put us a like on there as well, and you can also send us a message there, or on Twitter. We're at Force 13, the handle on Twitter. You can also add our official account Force 13 on Skype, or add my personal account on Discord, Fool13 at extension 9094. Also, for this storm, we've teamed up with Meteo et Cyclone Maurice. Check out their Facebook page for latest discussion there too. You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. to our 4th hour of Force 13 Live, and this is probably going to be our final hour of coverage tonight because we're all going to get some rest after this, and by the looks of things this storm probably won't arrive until daybreak in Mauritius at least. What we will be doing after this hour when we finish up is that we'll probably do 1 or 2 more updates throughout the early hours, and then we will start streaming properly again at 6 AM, just so that everyone knows what we are planning to do. That way we can probably deliver the best quality coverage that we can deliver. But this is what Bogota looks like right now, and send in your questions whilst we're on the air. Start your message with Force 13 if you're in the chat section. You can also find our stream if the simulcast is still going. I've no idea, I've not been able to check, with our friends, our partners at Meteo a Cyclone Maurice. You can check out their page on Facebook. You can see the link there on the left hand side of your screen there, facebook.com/Meteo Hub. And in this hour I am joined only by Craig, because everyone else has run away. Well, Rakesh had to leave us because his connection was really giving out on him, so I don't blame him because of the conditions in Mauritius, of course.
I was gonna say mine's probably having the same problem because of the snow.
Snow, my goodness. Snow in Scotland, that is. Craig's not in Mauritius, just in case you were wondering.
And 2 days worth of thunder snow as well.
Wow. Meanwhile in Mauritius it's thunderstorms from the cyclone. And this is the latest imagery showing that that more rainfall is to follow behind the current band that's affecting Mauritius, and that might move all the way through to Réunion actually as well in not too distant future. Give it another hour, maybe 2.
Yeah, around about that time range.
As we reach 11 o'clock in Mauritius, 7 PM here in the UK, and the centre of the storm still producing rainfall totals per hour of 45 millimeters or more. And the little cousin tells us that there's heavy rainfall, Craig, in Vacoas Phoenix, which is sort of towards the centre west. Another question, why does it look like a TS? That's an apt question right now, Craig, isn't it?
Oh, you sort of could call it a TS. It's because it isn't the tropics, but no, it's not a tropical storm in terms of strength. It's a Category 1 hurricane equivalent on the Saffir-Simpson Hurricane 1 scale. If you're using the Australian cyclone scale, it's a Category 3.
See if there's any new imagery on the ramp here. There's a new frame. I don't know, Craig, that might be, it's not an eye, but it might be the centre.
Center that's being attacked literally and physically by dry air.
The more I look at that particular picture, Craig, that's got to be the centre of the storm there, but just the, I mean, there might be something in the northern side, but you can tell the southern side is completely devoid of any eye structure.
This is the point of where if it even bothered to try and form an eye wall, it wouldn't even last. It really could not sustain it. It would just literally instantly collapse. The only place that it would be able to support an eye wall would be the northern sector. Cyclone. The rest of it is just a no-go. The rest of it's just don't even think about it.
Gosh.
This is the reason why it's been having some significant issues. That's a good timing. Is the dry air has been wrapped around from the western side, trapped in the eastern inflow, and being hauled into the eastern side of the storm, which is the weakest part of the system. So you get dry air that's going into that, it's going to cause it problems. But it's going to be holding intensity for now by the looks of that, but 75 miles per hour. Looking at for it now, it looks like 75 miles per hour could be on borrowed time.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
That
no,
to
I do think it's still clearly 75 miles an hour on that image.
I wouldn't put it down at 18Z. No, I would keep it 75 miles per hour. But maybe.
But when you look back there, you know, all you have to do is go back an hour. Look at the cloud top comparison between, well, that's 2 hours. 2 hours ago, and now, much weaker.
Weaker, much weaker. It shows you, but you can see the rest of the storm there. The northern section of the storm has expanded. You can see how it's grown.
When we were looking at it, we'll get another view up here. Let's get the cloud top as well. Here's another view. Really expanded, and then in those later frames, what were you saying?
You can see there in the last few frames that it starts to contract. That's probably because the dry air is now starting to really attack it.
Let's see if it is dry air then.
I'll get the air mass imagery. Oh, you've got the water vapor there. Because I'm watching the stream.
Yep.
You can see there to the far west of the cyclone. You can see where that is actually the dry air, and to the east, you can see that the little dry air trail that is actually coming in. It is still moist air, but it is very low scale moisture that is coming in. So you can see there, actually a little bit of yellow showed up there as it was wrapping around.
Yep.
Frames down the eastern side, you can see that is blue. That's a low scale moisture before it starts to pick up before it gets towards the storm. That's the dry air that's being trapped in the western side of the cyclone. Some of it you can see to the north, west, and northeast of the cyclone is coming round.
It is actually surrounded.
Actually trapped by dry air. So pretty much this cyclone is graveyard.
On borrowed time, you're saying?
Not yet, but I'm reckoning when it nears Mauritius even further, borrowed time for cyclone intensity as in category 1, extreme borrowed time, if it even holds that for that long. It's just a matter of time of whether when this dry air really entangled within the cyclone and pretty much just straight up kills it, along with the wind shear when it catches up with it.
Yep, well, there's the picture right now at 8 minutes past 11 in Mauritius, and more rain occurring by the sounds of things. If you've got observations for us on the island, do send in your messages and let us know where on the island you are as well. Sorry?
Or anything. I've seen somebody mentioning that lightning was, they were seeing lightning that was a weird bluish color.
Bluish what?
Green color.
Bluish green.
From what I was.
Never seen that.
For light. That is a very odd color. Are you
sure they weren't looking at the water vapor imagery at the time?
Oh, they did say there was lightning mentioned in that very sentence. Again. But if it was lightning that's greenish blue, that might be because there might be hail in that thunderstorm that you could be getting, because it looks like Mauritius is getting another thunderstorm. What you could be seeing there is a hail core with the sunshine trying to shine down through that very downdraft, which is a pretty cool sight, but it's also very, very creepy because it does give it a green tinge.
Alright then, well, so just to reiterate to people who are joining us, Craig, intensifying or weakening? Neither, probably.
Just come out, and it stays 75 miles per hour.
One person's just said lots of electricity transformers are exploding across the island. Now we do know from Rakesh, who was on the ground in Mauritius in the last hour, said that lightning storms have impacted the power supply in some areas, with power poles being hit by lightning.
you think of it, well, now that you've brought that up and that was said, bluish-green lightning, that would probably
Yes,
be correlated down to a transformer being blown out.
that's it.
Something like that.
That makes more sense.
You hear any like a loud buzzing, but you'd probably be too far away. But sometimes when you hear out and arcing, which would be, you would normally hear a very loud buzzing. That literally sounds like an explosion. That's probably what that lightning was.
That's why it's dangerous out there as well at the moment, because rain falling and lightning and transformers blowing and all that. It's quite easy to get struck by lightning.
I don't know whether you got the recent image of microwave on the water vapor there, Nathan, of the cyclone, but looking at it on RAM, that dry air slot has now fully opened.
Right. To the south.
East quadrant that is fully opened.
Okay, interesting.
At it right now, the dry air is now getting in. For the cyclone now, it's in really deep trouble. For land areas, because that means the cyclone is going to be fighting everything else to try and keep its strength. But once you're starting to get to it, by the looks of that, because the peacock fanning effect, which you're seeing there on the water vapor loop, is that's the effect of the wind shear. That almost somewhat reminds me of Mekhala. That was literally the last time I ever seen a Category 1 of this strength or close to it producing a peacock effect like that, which is pretty nice, pretty amazing to watch. A cyclone doing that, but not when it's heading towards land, which sadly Mekhala and Berguitta is.
From Mauritius, there is nothing crazy going on right now. According to Rishi, there is just some wind with rain, but not torrential rain in the south central region. And
Why?
And then we get another comment saying it's raining a lot with gusts in the central plateau.
Seeing on the rain there, or rain loop that Nathan's got up on the stream, a very large area of rain, or maybe a very large thunderstorm.
Thunderstorms there, aren't they, by the looks of it? I was just going to actually I was supposed to do this in the last hour, but now that it's updated, to bring to you the 24-hour rainfall up to 10 p.m. Mauritius time for a few locations here. The highest amount was in Vacoas, 105.7 millimeters of rainfall. As always, make do with my poor pronunciations of French places. Nouvelle Découverte, 92.4 millimeters. Montbois, 88.6. Providence, 87.2 millimeters. That's in a 24-hour period. Quite a few other places in the 70s. Generally in mountainous areas or the hilly areas. Along the coast, generally rainfall amounts are much lower. On the east coast, probably around 10 to 20 millimeters in the last 24 hours. On the west coast, about the same, and in the north about 5 to 15.
It's got the recent microwave image.
I've
just been sent it, and the verdict is, put that into a new tab. There we go.
I saw that briefly. There's the verdict.
No eye wall.
Well, what is that?
It's very low quality, so that's the best I could give, but waiting for the higher quality image to come out. But to work that out, there is no eye wall. Literally no eye wall at all. Dry air will be you can see here the dry air is going to start getting in. It's getting into the system, even if right now it's clear to see on IR. Microwave imagery is now confirming that the southeastern side is completely exposed. It's open. It's basically vulnerable to attack, which it is getting attacked by dry air.
Yeah.
Wind shear is also causing a problem, which is why you can sort of see these little light blues further away in the northwestern quadrant of the cyclone. So it's causing pretty much having major internal struggles, which doesn't really sound surprising because it's had internal struggles pretty much since a couple of days ago. So pretty much it's been fighting itself in some terms. But dry air and wind shear should pretty much put this thing out of its misery once it passes Mauritius and La Réunion, when it does so. That's the microwave imagery.
And there's another satellite image there that you just saw briefly, fleeting glimpse. Whilst I press a few more buttons over here.
A lot of button pressing.
But there is the latest picture on the rain rate estimator.
Just looking at that microwave image signature for Berguitta does not look good one bit.
And let's just zip back over to the radar as well to show what the radar is looking like from the Météo France website. And Craig, if you're watching with me here, any thoughts? Probably not really.
Giving that 15-second delay.
Delay.
Yes.
Well,
I'm gonna have to. Oh, good lord!
By the way, this stream does go out live, so if you are watching us, depending on your connection, it depends on how well our stream is. It's 7:17 p.m. local time. That makes it 11:17 in Mauritius. Local time to me, that is, in the UK. 11:17 in Mauritius. So if you're lagging behind quite a bit on the stream, you might want to reload the page, and hopefully you'll get some more up-to-date part of the stream. Don't you just hate not being up to date?
Looking at that radar there, Nathan, taking an absolute whacking from Rita's early precipitation bands that are starting to impact. Some of them will be embedded thunderstorms. You can see some of them are the yellow. Those are some extremely strong, or rather strong, thunderstorms. I'm not sure what the extreme reading would be for a rather strong thunderstorm would be on that radar, but that's a pretty decent strength thunderstorm embedded within a cyclone.
And look at the rain rates now, Craig. They're decreasing overall. In the centre of the storm, there's not much area of purple now. That's 45 millimeters of rain or more per hour. It's fizzling away.
Dry air has definitely hit the core.
Well, you can see where the centre of the storm is on this imagery as well now. And it is moving decidedly towards Mauritius.
See it there, but you can see how you see there the dry air. That little light blue, that's the definite dry air that's gotten in. That's the dry air that has got into the core of the cyclone. Probably what ends up being the cyclone's demise was dry air and wind shear eventually, but for now that's going to be the demise for Cyclone Berguitta.
People also talking about blackouts and trees starting to fall in some places and terrible weather overall.
Now, what is that? No eye wall? Yes, that is no eye wall. I can confirm that it is not an eye wall. It is a dry slot where the dry air is getting into the southwestern quadrant of the cyclone, which should end up resulting in further weakening. Eventually.
Yes.
The question, is it weakening at the moment? No, it's not.
We'd love to hear more from your observations live. If you do have any observations in Mauritius, please tell us, or in Réunion, please tell us where you are and what the current conditions are. Start your message with Force 13 all in text. We're here for another 40 minutes and then we're going to be taking a recess for the night, I suppose. But when we do go, you can stay on our channel and we'll probably be uploading 1 or 2 videos in the meantime. And on the website, the track forecast is also on there as well. I'm sure there'll be an update or 2 in the meantime. So we'll be doing our best over the overnight hours, and tomorrow morning we'll be bright and early at 6 AM doing another stream, and then who knows how long we'll be there after that. But for the time being, this is what the storm looks like right now. 40 more minutes here, and if you've got any more questions related to the storm itself, do send them in as well. We're also simulcasting with our partners at Meteo Cyclone Maurice. They're on Facebook, at the link on the left hand side of your page there, facebook.com/Meteo Hub. So, we've determined that it's not an I, and hopefully that won't change. Is Isaac with us here? No.
Oh.
He just left. As soon as I said.
Gore's
Right.
playing up.
Will it weaken after or before reaching Mauritius? My bet would be on after.
I would probably agree with after.
Any rough estimate on when it's going to hit? Well, if that is the centre of the storm that's moving there, that's starting to really move, I have to say. So I'm quite concerned that it could be overnight, before dawn. But at the moment we're saying that it's going to be after daylight, in the late morning, is our current estimate. But we may change that if that is actually the centre of the storm, which has just gone below 200 kilometres from Mauritius.
God, okay, to be honest, if this storm does not decide to move, meander about, sure, no land is going to get any more affected than what is being affected right now, but storm would also die quicker because dry air has already got to its center, and now you're just waiting for wind shear to finally pick up and just slaughter it.
At this point, Craig, this storm is really in no position to do rapid intensification. We can rule that out, can't we?
No fit state. If it does RI, it has absolutely no right to do it, because there's no eye wall, dry air's getting in.
So would you now agree that this storm is probably not going to get to Category 2?
Dry air's getting into the southeastern quadrant. As I said last night, there is still the chance that it could flush it out, but a chance of flushing it out now, no. Anymore.
You really think that this is the beginning of the end then? What I mean by that is it's past its peak. Not to downplay the storm, because it's still going to probably produce hurricane force sustained winds by the time it gets there, but
looking at it, I mean,
ooh, that's a new image there, not looking so good.
I mean, look at that. That is how significant that dry air has literally just got into the storm. Wow. So there's many points of entrance here.
It looks completely cut off at this north-south now.
Yeah, this storm for me is on its way out. It's not not saying it's going to rapidly weaken. This thing's going to still hold its intensity, but it's on its way out. Looking at this, microwave imagery is also showing that. I don't know whether the new image came out.
From a meteorological standpoint.
Yeah, from a meteorological standpoint, it's on its way out for me. Because seeing this, the microwave image that I had, it shows a storm that has completely gave up. It's not even going to attempt at reforming an eye wall. Going at it. But we've seen that the struggles that it's had with the eastern eye wall, when it's had one, it just couldn't get it going. Western eye wall was always overpowering it.
I think this storm could have been so much worse. You know, 3 days ago we were talking about the possibility of it getting to Category 5 and then approaching the islands as a Category 4. Yeah. It's quite remarkable that it's weakened to this point, but there's still a long way to go, because it's still got winds of 120 kilometers per hour sustained with higher gusts, and even if its structure completely disintegrates, those winds will still be getting up over the island.
Oh
And,
yeah, man. I
a
mean,
lot of rain.
there's always the good thing. You can just always remember what could have been, but not was. I think we can all just be grateful that this thing has weakened and hadn't gotten to hadn't got to what the models were saying, which was, or some models were saying, Category 5 cyclone, and moving towards Mauritius and La Réunion. That would have been beyond alarming to witness that and watch it. But it's still a cyclone. It's still dangerous. It's still packing hurricane force winds. Even if it does lose hurricane force, it's still going to be producing hurricane force gusts and close to hurricane force winds. So it's still going to prove a danger, even in rainfall. So this cyclone is still extremely dangerous. Doesn't matter how it's looking, whether it looks like utter crap or not. Forgive my French.
Not French.
Or my language anyway, is old saying. Don't read too much into it.
That's Scottish.
Oh.
It is a stage 4 on the CDPS still, which means extensive damage is the potential for it there.
So, that brings it back nicely back to the point I was making. Do not go lightly with this system just because it looks like crap. This storm is still proving a danger. And it will prove a danger as it moves closer. Wind speeds are going to be close to hurricane force, if not hurricane force by the time it decides to get a spurt on, if it does. And if 0Z comes around, if they do put it down to tropical storm, keep in mind that this is still a very serious situation. This is a very serious storm. Regardless of it being hurricane or not, or cyclone producing hurricane force winds, it will be producing hurricane force.
Speaking of which, the ATCF has updated, Craig. They've kept it at 75 miles an hour, and the pressure's gone down slightly to 979.
Yeah, I said that with RAM, that it's kept it at 75 miles per hour. I didn't read the I didn't read the Navy air pressure.
Pressure's down.
So that means, so what they're saying is in a theoretical
But that must have been because of the size. It increased
that's
in
probably
size.
because of, that's probably because of that. The pressure has decided to drop a little bit, but I wouldn't take that as too serious. It's only a couple millibar drop, to be honest. What was the last millibar reading? Air pressure reading?
Down by 2, yeah.
It's down by 2, so it's not really a significant drop. Only a 2 millibar drop, so it's nothing really too significant. It's still a Category 1 low end. It's pretty much holding on for dear life onto hurricane force or cyclones and cyclone status. So as this moves towards Mauritius, if it is, which it's looking like it's doing, this cyclone could either still be a Category 1 on the Saffir-Simpson Hurricane Wind Scale, Category 3 on an Australian scale, but if it doesn't get towards Mauritius by 0Z, it could be put down to a tropical storm of around 75, around 70 miles per hour or 65. But if it were to go down, I would put it down as 70 miles per hour. But it would still be a dangerous storm regardless. So please keep that in mind. Okay, sorry for waffling on there.
No, well, we've got another half hour here before we finish up for tonight. As I said earlier, when we do finish up, we'll have some more updates on the channel, of course, as the storm draws ever nearer, and we're most likely going to be live again at 6 AM local time in Mauritius. So we will be back first thing in the morning. We're going to be resting up in the meantime, but for another half hour we'll be here talking. And I'm not sure what really to discuss in the last half hour. I guess we'll go through, just so that everyone is acquainted with it, the advisory from Mauritius. Just to repeat what they said at 10:10 this evening. The severe tropical storm Berguitta was centered at around 190 kilometers to the northeast of Mauritius, that is in latitude 18.9 degrees south and longitude 59.1 east, moving in a general west-southwesterly direction at a speed of about 8 kilometers per hour. There are indications that Bogota will assume a southwesterly track during the night. On this new trajectory, the severe tropical storm Bogota will dangerously approach Mauritius and will pass very close to the island tomorrow morning. Which is still tomorrow for 30 more minutes. In view of its intensity, position relative to Mauritius and its movements, severe tropical storm Bogota constitutes a serious threat to Mauritius, and it's still a Class 3 warning, which is in effect, and the next bulletin will be issued at 1:10. The weather they predict tonight will remain overcast with intermittent rain. The rain will be moderate to heavy at times with thunderstorms. Wind will blow from the south-southeast at about 50 km per hour, strengthening gradually. The gusts may reach 120 by the course of the night. And I'm just waiting to see if we have the full bulletin from La Réunion. Yes. They have said that you'll find this one interesting, Craig. La Réunion say that the wind speed is now only 70 miles per hour. You still there?
I'm still alive.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
I don't really put it down.
They've put it down to 70 miles an
20.
hour, which is about 110 kilometers per hour.
We call it be knots, 60 knots.
60 knots and a pressure of 972 millibars, which is much lower than the ATCF said, 979. They say it's moving southwest at 6 knots, which is about 10 or 11 kilometers per hour. And they predict that the storm is on a weakening trend now.
Support that it is.
And that in 4 days' time it will be a post-tropical depression. well, that's what
that's
they
the
say
thing.
in the full bulletin. So La Réunion don't think it has hurricane force winds anymore. The Joint Typhoon Warning Centre will still call it hurricane force cyclone. Regardless, it is only 5 mile an hour difference, 8 kilometers an hour difference between the two, so it can still produce quite easily 110 kilometer per hour sustained winds with increased gusts of up to about 150 kilometers per hour, I would suggest. Okay, if you got any questions, start your message with Force 13, they'll light up big and bright for me. What is the ETA for the cyclone to go over Mauritius? It looks at the moment as though it's going to happen at some point during the morning. I would say no earlier than 4 AM and no later than midday by this point. If it is that centre moving southwest. Because it looks like it is starting to get going, but who knows, because this storm might stall again 10 kilometres off the coast for all we know.
There's that chance that it could.
And there's a funny comment there. Mauritius is making the cyclone afraid. It's quite true, actually.
That's true, it doesn't want to go near you.
Yeah.
It's a secret behind it. That, how have you managed to physically terrify a cyclone?
Do you think it will hit in 10 to 18 hours? Where are we now? Well, yeah, as I said, at the moment, as it is right now, if that is the centre of the storm moving down southwest there in that light blue shading there, we're looking at we're looking at 12 hours or less.
Heart in my mouth.
What was that?
Ram just put my heart in my mouth.
Really? What's going on?
Broke. It just broke and put the image of Berguitta with an eye.
Oh.
Thank God it was from 0Z the 16th of January.
Okay, well, enough on that. How is the track forecast determined? Well, there's model guidance from the computer models and synoptic guidance based on the current synoptic charts and conditions, and guessing when fronts arrive and guessing where the high pressure is going to go next as well. That determines the storm's track. Nice messages. That's we like the nicer messages as well. We do appreciate all of the comments that are coming in that are of a positive tone. We clearly need to have an open day in Mauritius or something one day.
Something
or
we
maybe
can note
a cyclone education week or workshop or something.
Would be good.
So we'll go to Mauritius. One day under better skies, hopefully. Hey, well, we're just tidying over here for another 20 minutes or so because I don't think we've really got too much else to say about this storm apart from checking out the latest imagery. Let's see if there's any more that we can take a look at right now. More new imagery from RAM, perhaps. Let's see what we're seeing. So again, you can see what we thought might first have been an eye, a dry slot in the end. And you can easily tell that by that latest frame, where you can see there. Really looking poor now, Craig.
Oh. All thanks to the dry slot.
Being ripped apart there. You think wind shear's
Ram
acting on it as well?
Wind shear's really starting to get on the act. You see a
The
lot of
the way it's deteriorated in 3.5 hours there. 3.5 hours ago it looked like this. And then you go a bit further back, that's 5 hours ago. And now it's to that.
Oh, looks absolutely dreadful.
I think it's in its final throes. Hope so.
It's piddly little punches.
We're only guessing.
Yeah. But looking at that, as I was saying, it looks like it's a storm. It's on its way out. Not saying it won't be...
well, I think we can throw that HWRF forecast of Category 3 out the window. At least before landfall. But there still is warm waters south of those islands. It could get going again.
In comes the problem of forward speed. With moving. So... moving south, I don't think it will strengthen when it gets south. I'll be amazed if it does, to be honest, depending on how fast it moves.
More questions. How will the weather be on Friday in Mauritius? What day are we on now? Wednesday. Well, the way this storm's going, it might still be with us on Friday. Hopefully it will have moved out by then. My guess is that it will have moved out by Friday. You would hope. Might still be some residual rainfall. Winds will be getting down again. How long will Berguitta linger? Well, that's sort of a similar question, really. Tonight into tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be the main part. Tomorrow morning. Early hours, middle hours. We don't know for sure when the worst part of the storm is going to blow through. But hopefully by evening on Thursday, the storm will hopefully be moving away and the winds will be dying down, and then by Friday morning it will hopefully be almost gone or completely gone by the later part of Friday, and certainly by the weekend. You'll have probably forgotten about this. Hopefully.
The cyclone will probably just have blown over and forgotten.
And they also did ask, Bernie, what will the highest speed be? The wind speed. Well, as we say, at the moment it's sustained winds of 120 kilometers per hour, gusting to 150, so that would be my guess.
To be honest, wind speeds, if you're asking in terms of landfall, even if it does, I don't really expect this thing to get any stronger. I expect it just to stay the same.
Well,
just seen a question there of... Okay. Can you explain how the dry air is affecting the intensification of the cyclone?
Would you like to go ahead?
Well, it's pretty much easy to explain. The dry air it dries the cyclone out, it dries out the moisture, and it affects the core because a cyclone relies on moisture. If you get a piece of dry air that entangles in its gets into its center, the storm will weaken either rapidly or gradually, as you're seeing here with Berguitta. The dry air has clearly gotten into the center, and that's why you're seeing the cloud tops completely collapse, the storm structure completely fall apart. That's pretty much what dry air does to a cyclone. It just causes the cyclone structure to go to absolute pot. It just causes it to lose the plot, and just causes the cyclone to start weakening.
Will it do damage when it hits? Well, it's already doing damage right now. Power poles have been struck by lightning. It sounds like transformers and substations are blowing a fuse, thanks to the thunderstorms and, I'm guessing, the strong winds and rain. Why is it very, very hot in Mauritius, says Shirley. I'm guessing the 2 days before the storm have been hot because that dry air was dominating.
It has to be warm. Oh. That's the common fact with a cyclone. It does normally bring very, very warm, humid air before. That's hence why you're getting the thunderstorms. Up off of that tropical, that nice, warm, humid, tropical heat that is very, very moist and it's very, very muggy. So,
Kamal says, how do you actually calculate the ETA? 10 kilometers an hour on average is 150. For a 150 kilometer distance, for example, will give a 15-hour time frame. Well, we would have thought longer, but looking at the latest images, it looks to me as though the center is that little blue area there, and that will be at 19.2 south, 59.05 east. I'm just going to plug those numbers in. 19.2 south, and what did I say? 59.05 east. So now, what I'm seeing on the trajectory here, according to our numbers, this storm has moved south 55 kilometers in 2 hours. That can't be right. I mean, they are just estimates, but since we started the stream, it's moved south 78 kilometers. That was 4 hours ago. So they are just estimates, and they can be wrong sometimes, but at the moment, it's moving at a significant pace if that is actually the centre of the storm there. I mean, you average that out over the 4 hour period. You're supposed to average out over 6, but let's just average out over a 4 hour period. 78 divided by 4. Maths wasn't my strong point, Craig.
It wasn't with me either.
It's 19.5. I did that in my head as well. 19.5 per hour is what it's doing at the moment. So if we were to extrapolate that and it went straight to Mauritius from this point, it would get there in 8 hours. But we can't look too much into that, and it might accelerate as well. Or it might slow down and stall, or it might just keep going south and completely miss. My God.
That is true. There is that chance that it might. But
if that centre of the storm position is correct, just to reiterate, that means that the storm is now 175 kilometers from Mauritius. I think I interrupted you there, Craig, so go ahead.
Oh, that is looking rather awful. It's completely fell apart.
Can you show us? Are you looking at that RAM imagery?
Yeah, I'm looking at the recent RAM imagery.
Well, let's go back to that again and see if there's a new frame that Craig's looking at, or whether he's just catching up with us.
No, I've got it. It is a brand new frame.
A brand new frame?
It's looking dreadful.
Wow. It's being extinguished. There is still a lot to that storm there, but man.
Yeah.
But you know, when you compare it to previous, how it is.
Yeah. But notice the difference. Look what's stronger. Look what side's stronger than what it wasn't. The eastern side is now finally stronger than the western.
It's not saying much though.
No.
And the southern side there as well, there's still some significant activity there that's going to hit Mauritius soon.
Mm-hmm. But this cyclone, I don't really see this doing anything other. This dry air just getting completely worse for the storm.
By this point, yeah.
Yeah.
It's lost its composure.
Oh, it's completely lost the plot. To
put in a way only Craig can. Yes.
Yeah, it's thrown in the towel. It's waving the white flag. It's on its way out, as I said. Well, hopefully that's what it's doing. But it's looking. That's what it's looking like it's doing. It's looking like it's putting in the towel and it's waving the white flag of surrender.
But rainfall rates inside the storm right now, near the centre, are still quite high, around 30 to 35 millimeters per hour. And the part that's affecting Mauritius right now is still delivering at least 12 millimeters per hour.
Just looking at some of the imagery from of Berguitta on RAM, yeah, that dry air hot it and hot it hard.
Yeah. We're not here for much longer, by the way. We're just here till the end of the hour before we go off the air tonight. We're finishing at midnight tonight. We started an hour earlier and we're going to be ending an hour earlier. That's because we're going to be back in the event of the cyclone making landfall, or its very closest approach. It'll be a little bit later in the morning, so instead of passing the time twiddling our thumbs, we'll be coming back at probably 6 AM, but we might extend it back to 4 if we feel it's necessary. But by morning we'll definitely be broadcasting again as the storm draws ever closer, and we'll have updates in between on the Force 13 channel as well. So 15 minutes here just to get your questions in. Start your message with Force 13 all in text if you have any more questions for us about the storm. And of course your observations, we look forward to hearing more of those as well. Well, hopefully good news. But if you are anywhere in Mauritius or in Réunion and you have an observation for us, do let us know where you are and send us a message. But at the moment you can see the storm's deterioration on the western side there as well in terms of the rain rate. And let's take some questions. As the storm, what's this? Does the storm have the possibility to re-intensify again? I think so. Craig doesn't. I still think so. It can intensify again. Now it's looking more and more unlikely that it's going to do it before reaching Mauritius, but it could intensify after passing Mauritius.
Air out its centre. And if wind shear hasn't got to it.
Well, yeah, wind shear is going to be key.
But from the south, put this lightly for it, it's really unfavourable.
It is. Anywhere south of Mauritius, wind shear is huge.
So here's the wind shear graphic. I mean, look at that.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Let's get it up here. There it is.
Hold on.
Yeah, that's the same one that we were showing earlier, yeah. There should be an updated one soon.
Yeah, the 18Z, which shouldn't be coming out, which shouldn't be too far away. But, I mean, look at that. The storm goes south, it's pretty much going to straight up die.
Obviously, the red zone is unfavourable for storm development completely.
Yep.
The yellow zone is marginal, and the green zone is favourable conditions there.
That's exactly that.
Here's
you see that...
It's getting scary outside, says Zufar. Doesn't tally with the latest imagery at all.
Safe shear 10, damn it. The disappointments when shear is not working fully yet.
Anything to say to that last comment there, Craig?
Wow, that is actually pretty interesting.
It's probably just a product of those thunderstorms that are occurring over the island at the moment.
I'm thinking that's what it could be, because thunderstorms
they are quite intense. That last frame there, which is only a few minutes old, I think. How old is that? 3 minutes. 3 minutes old, that last frame. So let's zone in on it. This is almost real time. 3 minutes ago, there was a little point of rainfall, which hopefully you'll see in a minute when it loads again. I just wanted to get a real close-up on Mauritius on this so we can see it properly, and I can tell you the colour codes. So that little pink area there is for 30 millimeters of rain per hour. That's the rain rate over a small part of southeastern Mauritius right now. So if they're in that area, then it's no surprise that things are getting a bit scary. That is just a product of an isolated but intense thunderstorm that's currently occurring over the island. And the more I look at the northeastern part of the storm, even on this rain rate map, Craig, it's completely losing its shape.
Oh yeah, it's completely collapsing.
So, there we go.
Flooding issues as well because it's raining with snow on the ground.
Oh yes,
Nice.
But heavy
Not
rainfall
really.
across the island right now, could be some flash flooding. So Craig, just to reiterate, the storm appears to be losing its composure. But it still contains winds of 120 kilometers per hour sustained. And that means gusts of up to 150 kilometers per hour. And those winds, speeds and gusts can still occur on the island as long as that is the case. Although it looks like it might be starting to weaken. Whether it continues to do that remains to be seen, and I would suggest major caution as to that. Class 3 warning still in effect for good reason. And here's another image that I've just been presented with. There's another late image of what's going on right now. And still the storm, and you can see the thunderstorms over Mauritius right now. That's not part of the main core of the cyclone. That is still sort of the intermediate parts, which can still deliver some really gusty winds and heavy rainfall, which could cause flash flooding and thunderstorms with lightning that can strike buildings, people, trees, power poles and electrical installations throughout the country. So, as Bernie asked there, has it weakened considerably? Not considerably. Not yet anyway, but that could happen later. What we are saying is that it's really struggling to get its eye back and its shape, and the dry air intruding means that it doesn't have much hope for intensifying at all, and weakening from this point onwards is the more likely possibility. We hope so, but for the time being, that's well, there's another image that Isaac's just sent to us. He couldn't be on the stream tonight. There's another one showing you what the situation is there, and the strongest part of the storm is just off to the northeast, and it does appear to be moving a little bit to the south again now, so the landfall is still on. It is still possible this storm might make landfall in a few hours' time. We have just a few more moments left here, so if you have any questions for us, do send us a message. Start your message with Force 13 all in text. We'll be able to read it out because we are almost out of time for tonight. But don't forget, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, search Force 13 all in text. You can also add our Skype account, Force 13 all in text again, and you can also add my personal account on Discord, Fool13 FOOL13 hashtag 9094, and you can see all the outlets there on the left hand side. And our partners, Meteo a Cyclone Maurice, they're on Facebook under the name, at least on the link there, Meteo Hub. Facebook.com/Meteo Hub. That's Meteo a Cyclone Maurice. For the time being, Craig, are you still with us? Oh, you are. So, I want you to make some concluding statements here, Craig, and people still rather apprehensive about this storm, and we're not saying that it's going to be a cakewalk, are we?
Well, remains to be seen when it approaches land.
Well, it is.
Yes, the storm is.
It's there. Some trees are falling, but the things could still get worse overnight, but thankfully we're not looking at a category 3 or 4 anymore. It's just a weak category 1. I say just, but still a significant cyclone. Certainly justifies the class 3 warnings, and class 4 will occur as soon as 120 km per hour, 110 is 120 km per hour winds, gusts that is, not sustained, occur over the island, which should be pretty soon, to be honest, looking at it.
Yeah, that's going to be the next big thing now. But the storm's continuing to fall apart by the looks of it. Dry air's got into the core. I just don't know if there's anything else to say about the storm.
There's another close-up on the water vapour again that we're just looking at there, courtesy of Isaac. Craig, any thoughts? Getting a bit sloppy.
Dry air really hot that damn thing hard. That's really can be said about it.
Wow.
Is dry air's hot it and hot it hard.
Well, since there's only two of us, is that it, Craig? Are we done?
Well, a long, hard 4 hours then, yeah.
And it's going to be a long, hard night tonight as well over in Mauritius. We wish everyone well, but that's all from our coverage tonight. Coming up to midnight in Mauritius, the current time, and this was Force 13 Live. We'll be back again at least 6 AM, but we might cut it short and come back at 4, depending on the conditions. We'll see what's going on overnight. There will be updates on the Force 13 channel overnight as well. Thank you very much, Craig, for joining us. Also to Rakesh, who joined us live from Mauritius not so long ago, and also to all the other people who joined us tonight. Until then, I don't think there's anything else to mention. The next Mauritius update is at 1:10 AM and at 4:10 AM are the next updates in Mauritius. The next one from La Reunion is at 4 o'clock in the morning as well. And we'll be there with at least a recorded update if we're not live. That's all for now. My name is Nathan Foy. We'll be back again soon. Stay tuned and stay safe out there in Mauritius. The storm is upon us.